Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is the Foxeer Predator 4 Nano. Might also be called the Foxeer Predator Nano V4. And yes, it's tiny. Lens appears to be 12 millimeters wide. Body is almost 15 millimeters wide. Front to back I'm getting almost 21 millimeters. And with the connector it looks like 23.5. It weighs almost 5 grams. Sitting on the ground you can tell it's a windy day and it's not a full sun day, so this might not be optimal for every viewing experience, but we do have a mixture of sun and clouds. One of those things, Mother Nature, we can't control. When I started this test, it was nearly full sun and the sun was out, so it's going to move in and out of the sun during actually this short little flight, but I do step into the shade so you can get an idea. We've got plenty of trees. We've got plenty of different colors to look at. We've got some red. Red is one of those colors that seems to be that with some camera sensors, it can be real sensitive to red. So I think that's something that I hear quite often from people is that you want to see red. We also have the green grass and the blue skies to compare the colorization. And also you get to see a lot of leaves and branches and roots from trees and all these different features and curves and lines that we have in the front. And I generally, when I do camera testing, not that I do very many, I like to do them in front of the house because of all the variables and the different things that you guys can look at to discern whether this is a camera for you or a particular application that you're looking at. We actually go up to 2 red cars and kind of give them a good stare a little bit here. These are factory default settings. There's a host of settings and we'll take a look at those when we get back to the bench, but this is the daylight or daytime setting. It has a couple of different modes you can go into. The one other one that we're going to test after this flight footage is the nighttime. I do 2 tests at nighttime just because I don't tend to fly at night myself, but some of you may want that last pack of the day and the sun might be just about to go down. So we have, after this, we look at the sunset, or actually it's about 25 minutes after sunset, and then I go out 30 minutes after sunset when it's just full on dark, so you get an idea. There's also an LED and a black and white setting. I don't know why you would use black and white, but maybe there's an application for that. And the LED, I'm just not equipped to test that out. I suppose if you're doing one of those light track races, that's where the LED setting comes to play. I do get in and out of the shadows, trying to give you as best possible look at the camera. This is not a 1-to-1. This is a DVR. I kind of always have to remind everybody of that. Not everybody who views these videos comes to the channel and understands how I take a look at these. This is what I see in my HDO goggles with a rapid fire module. Well, it's not what I see. It's what the DVR records. It would be best if I had a camera rig set up that had at the very least a DVR built in, but then there's still, it's all so subjective. I understand there's somebody out there, I can't remember the name of the individual, that went to great lengths of setting up different video recording equipment to get it as close as possible to what the goggles actually see. I'm not equipped for that, so we'll have to take a look at what I've got, and hopefully this will give you what you need to know whether it's a camera for you or for some other application maybe in the future. I would like to see Foxeer develop another camera of this size. Maybe one like the EOS 2 and the RunCam Nano. Something that's a little bit better for us micro guys. You know, I like to fly things 3 inches and less. And we're always looking at weight. I'd like to see this camera drop a little bit weight if they were to come out with that next version. I'd like to see it down closer to 3 grams. But I don't know what's all possible. I suspect if you're using a plastic lens, you can drop some weight. There's a little bit of an issue sometimes with plastic lenses as well. We finished up the flight and we're going to take a look at where the sun is actually 25 minutes past sundown. You're probably wondering how I know it's 25 minutes past sundown. It's because I stuck my watch in the DVR. It's a dead simple way of keeping track of this sort of stuff. And as far as the sundown or sunset time, I used the weather app for my location, and it said the sun went down at this time, and then so I actually looked out at sunset, and I was like, that looks like full bright to me, so I didn't bother to test right at sunset, because I didn't think that was going to be useful. I thought that was going to be something that, you know, you would just fly any old camera in, so I decided to wait even longer. I thought looking into the garage was fairly interesting with the color of that light, but as you see, we get in there, it turns white. So, and then we go out back, and I go out back for 2 reasons. One, we get to see that red cooler that we walk by, and 2, it is substantially darker back here. Now, I took pictures with my iPhone, but those cell phone cameras do so good. It's not a good representation for the actual darkness as far as my eyes see. This appears much brighter, and the photos appear much brighter than it really is, which is a good thing because that's what you're looking for. You're looking to squeeze out that last pack, or maybe squeeze out a pack because you just got home and you're going to go for a quick flight or two, or you got to your flying field later than expected and you're going to go for that last flight of the day, or squeeze in a couple packs before you're shut out because of darkness. So later on I go back out, and this is full on dark. I know it doesn't look like it, especially at the light. Some of that is the light from the city. There's a major grocery store behind those trees, and it's probably emitting some light from there. It's pricking up, but this is full on dark. Most of the lights in the neighborhood, we don't have street lights, but most of the lights in the neighborhood are sensing the amount of sunlight, and then they turn on. And so I thought this was pretty interesting, and when I was looking at it through my goggles, I decided that I would try to go for a flight. I've never really done that in the neighborhood, and it's a little bit sketchy because it is a neighborhood, and I know there's at least one of my neighbors that tends to walk her dog after night, but she generally has a flashlight. And so you're going to see me here in a moment. I am going to scope out the neighborhood, going real gradual and slow. I'm going to scope out the neighborhood to make sure she's out. She just lives 2 houses down. And I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to run into her, and I'm going to stay kind of in the street and in the grass area where she shouldn't be. It was interesting because the night insects were really out in full force. It was crazy loud out there with all those nighttime sounds of the bugs. This area under the tree is especially dark, and that's kind of why I kind of circle it. I look at the lights and then I look away. This is down toward the creek, but there are some houses behind those trees that we looked at. And then you get another view kind of looking out into more light. But generally speaking, our neighborhood is not very bright. Again, no street lights, it's just the house lights. The sky is kind of lit up towards that area where the major shopping center is over there. There's a strip mall, and there's a big grocery store and a big gas station and a restaurant and a few other things. It's nice because it's just around the corner from the house. But because of all the trees, we kind of feel secluded over here, and we don't have a lot of that noise that might otherwise be for having those things so close. But I got pretty comfortable. You see, I'm on the sidewalk, and I'm kind of flying around. So, yeah, my first time night flying, really. I was pretty pumped about that. I wouldn't be comfortable ripping around like this. But, you know, going around and cruising, it would be fine. I would probably be more likely to go quicker in the previous test where we're 25 minutes after sunset. I go ahead and I bounce it around in the garage here a little bit. Actually, I laughed a little bit when I did that. I actually do it again here in a second. Yeah, I don't know why. I thought it was funny. Back out here in the sun again, and we're going to do the classic cover the lens, quickly remove it, and see what sort of flare or light changes we get, and we do this several times here. We are going to jump into one other little test that I thought was somewhat interesting and informative for you. Here in this garage scene, I thought it was fairly interesting when you kind of look up and then back down into the garage. You would get to see how quickly it adjusts to the dark area inside the garage, like if you were diving into a building or a barn or something of that nature. I thought that might be useful to see. So I do that a few times so that you can see it. So I've got my little rig set up here, and down here in the lower right, you can see if we press the right hand button, or if you have camera control built into your flight controller, or you add a camera control board, you could get into these settings with your OSD and or your sticks if you use setup modes, or excuse me, with your switches if you set up modes to handle that sort of stuff. But if we press and hold this, you can see it now says night. LED, we wait for it to go back to clock, press and hold again, we go to black and white. Oh, I forgot to wait. Now I press and hold again, back to daytime. So you get daytime, nighttime, LED, and black and white. Now let's press the center button and go into the menu, the center button here. So the camera ID, that's all the information that appears at the bottom of the screen. Like you can substitute where it says Foxeer for your own pilot name if you choose to. I don't know too many people that use that, but it's there for you to use if you want. It's also got the run time or the power on time, and it also has the voltage. So you can turn that on or off. Picture adjustment, let's go in there. We've got flip is off right now, so you can flip that horizontally. You can flip it vertically, horizontally, and vertically. And then we're back to off, and you can see we've got brightness, contrast, sharpness, hue, and color gain. All typical settings you might want to change, and those are the settings that how it came to me, and that's how I showed it in the flight footage. We've got day-night auto, And manual, if we go in there under manual, we see we've got color, black and white. That's it. I fully expected to see those other scenes in there, so you can only access those scenes using either the menu right button or through your camera control. And then, of course, we've got language, English, and camera reset. I'm going to go ahead and take the lens cap off now and show you those different scenes as far as a scene that we've got here inside. So you can see, of course, this is all subject to interpretation as well. We're talking about this screen, my camera, but I thought at the very least I could show it to you. It might be somewhat valuable. So I'm going to press and hold that button. We'll watch down there where the clock or the runtime is, and it'll switch to night. You can see the change there. Switches back to the clock. We'll press and hold again. Now we've got LED. Now we've got black and white. And we're back to daytime or normal time. And that is all the features of the camera. The last point to talk about is the price point. Now, what I've seen digging around, it seems to be retailing for somewhere between $34 and $37. It depends upon where you look. Also, there's another variable in there in that I don't know this is actually shipping yet. So the price could change when they start to ship these, possibly. I don't have any inside information into that. That's the price point as I see it tonight. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the section down below. I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching.